Today's story is about a professional bike rider that took a ride that led to a dream in his sleep that he will wake up and never forget. The plot twist on this dream is so vivid and so bad, there's real pictures affiliated. So, for that reason, viewer discretion is advised. But if you are into these type of stories, go ahead and smash the like button, turn on all notifications so you don't miss my 3 to 4 weekly uploads. And catch me on every platform under Motivation Fam. So let's get into this vivid dream. In order to understand this story, you need to understand what type of guy that William was. William was more of a hardworking type guy, outdoorsman, very good in sports, always like to do stuff that's interactive, and also a very, very good professional bike rider. And him and his friends would get out and ride miles and miles every Sunday until, it gets cold out, and then they kind of chill, and then they go back around, and he goes back to working hard and doing other things, and he goes skiing and stuff. But every summer he'll go back out, and him and his buddies would get together and they'd go bike riding. That's kind of where this dream starts, is actually with him going bike riding. And then all he could remember after bike riding was going into this trance in this dream. But in this dream, he would state from his mouth exactly how the dream played out. Here's how the dream played out. He says he can remember being asleep when things would start getting dark, and it gets really dark, and I'm guessing that's because he was asleep, but he would say that he'll get some type of redness in his dream, like the going from sleeping in this all black to sleeping and now it's all red. And he can assume that maybe, like, I guess in his dream is some big spotlight that's sitting over his eyes, or you know how it is when you close your eyes and you see the light that's flashing in and it gives you that red look. If you just close your eyes and look at a light, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And he said that's how his dream would start off. Then, as he's in this dream and he can't wake himself up, he's trying his best to get out of this dream, and he says in this dream he could feel like somebody is like writing on him, or like maybe it's some type of ink pen or something. And he said then that felt all weird, and he still couldn't move, and he couldn't get up, and he was stuck in this dream, and he was trying his best to get up. And he said as he was still trying to get up and stuff, he could hear voices and people talking, but he couldn't understand all the words that the people were saying because he couldn't make out half of the phrases and terminology that the people around him were using in his dream. And he said, but before he knew it, he would hear somebody say, okay, start, and then they asked for a specific item. And then when he got that specific item, he said all he could feel was something just tearing across his chest right down the middle of it. And he said it felt like a burning sensation, like somebody almost took a knife and just stabbed in and just went straight down the middle. And then he said in his dream he couldn't bear the pain, but it was some reason he was stuck in this trance where he couldn't move and he couldn't get up. And then he said after that he would hear him saying something, and then he hear, I guess, some other item noises in the background. He said he hear some metal things and clinking sounds and stuff. And then he said all of a sudden he would just feel this hard pain, like someone's just digging inside of his chest and feeling around with his insides, and it feel like people pulling stuff and tugging on the inside of his body, not on the outside layer of skin, but like internally in his body, like pulling and digging around. And then he said he started feeling some type of cut lines and stuff, like somebody taking a knife and going right across his jaw right here. And he said he couldn't do nothing but feel it. And he said he felt 100% of the pain in his dream, and there's nothing he could do. He's just sitting there, he's stuck in it. And then he said he would hear somebody say another item. And when they asked for this other item, he said all he could think was, before this next item comes, I need to wake up. I need to get out of this sleep. Maybe if I die in my sleep, or what if this next item feels even worse than the first couple items, because nothing this person's saying in my dream make any sense. I don't understand the terminology, and I don't know what's going on, but every time they say something, it's just getting worse and worse and more painful. And as the doctor just asks for some other item or whatever that was, and the guy would hand it to him. All they said he could feel was something just stabbing through his chest and stabbing back out the other side. And they would say again, and then it would stab him in the chest, and something would stab him out the other side, and then something would stab him in the chest, and something would stab him out the other side. And then he said before he knew it, he was in so much pain, but he couldn't talk. He couldn't do anything. In fact, he couldn't even open his eyes. He could just hear, and he could just feel the pain as if someone is just stabbing, and you feel a cutting, and you feel people drawing on you lines, and I mean all sorts of stuff. And then before you know it, he would eventually break out of this trance just enough because of the pain was so excruciating that he actually was able to open his eyes just a little bit. But for some reason, his eyes were still being held down, but he was opening them just enough to wake up and look around. And then that's when it dawned on him. But before I get into that, let's go back to the start so you can actually understand what had happened. In the beginning, he would go out, he would call his buddies, they would go bike riding. And the bike riding was very successful because that was kind of the last thing he could remember before this whole dream thing happened. And as he was riding, a tractor trailer would come down and T-bone him on the bike when he come falling off the bike onto the ground. And when he hit the ground, he went into that dream. But that wasn't a dream. Here's the truth of what he felt. Once he had got hit by that bike, he would have felt people picking him up, running him into an ambulance, and then he would feel the driving, and as he's driving, they evaluating him and stuff, and they putting the little pre-game lines on him, which would be the lines he felt, and then all of a sudden, he would go into this emergency room, and they take him straight to the back because he has all this stuff wrong with him from getting hit by the truck. And then the doctors would go in there and they would start working and, getting things set up, and the nurses would come in, and then a team of doctors would be in there, and everybody's playing their specific roles. But somewhere along the line, and all the complications because of all the stuff that had occurred with him, someone put him to sleep. They checked him, but they never put any stack, and he felt every single ounce of the pain. When he said he felt the line going down the middle of his chest, he felt the doctors drawing the line out exactly down the middle of his chest, between the chest. And then he said right after he felt that line, he asked the doctor, he said he would hear something say, "Hand me this." That was the doctor he could hear because he wasn't asleep. He was not fully asleep because of the pain. They didn't give him no type of pain medicine. They put him to sleep, and then they just started working. And now he could feel everything, and they woke him up. But he could barely open his eyes, and he thought he was stuck in some type of sleeping trance because when the doctors that did this set up for the surgery, they would put tape over his eyes that would tape his eyes down shut. Once his eyes was taped, he would hear the doctor say, "Hand me that such and such." What he asked for was the doctor would say, "Hand me the scalpel." The scalpel is a cutting tool that he felt, which he said he felt like somebody was digging his chest, as the doctor took the scalpel and started splitting right down the center of his chest. And then he said he would feel like somebody's reaching all inside of him. That would be the doctor reaching in his body, trying to find the broken bones and stuff that they had already seen on the x-ray. Then he said he'd feel cutting lines going across his face. That was the doctors actually putting an incision right here to fix his jawbone that had got hurt during the accident. And through all this pain, he said all he could remember was trying his best to move, and he couldn't move, and he couldn't barely open his eyes. And then he said when he heard that other part, and he said the doctor said, "Hand me this," what the doctor was asking was to hand him the stuff to stitch him up. So when he felt all the pain of the needle just going straight through his chest and straight out the other side, and they take it back straight through his chest and straight to the outside, all the way up the split they made until it was 100% closed. Then, when he felt that pain, he was able to crack his eyes, but he couldn't open them because the tape was down, and that's when the doctors realized it. We made a terrible, terrible mistake. He is woke. He's been woke. And now we all could face getting in trouble because we didn't follow the proper procedures and we didn't put him to sleep. So one of the other doctors said, well, while he's still halfway out of it, let's just do this. And what they did was they gave him some shot or some needle that when he went home, he completely forgot, but he kept having these dreams every single night until one day the truth would come out because one of the doctors just couldn't hold it in anymore. And he'd go tell him, look, I'm so sorry. We did not put you to sleep, and we will take full responsibility for what happened. And once that occurred, the doctor told him about everything. Then he understood why he kept having those dreams every night still. And the doctors would further find out that the only reason his family members also would get involved, and they all find out the shot that they gave him when they sent them home was an amnesia shot. So they was giving him amnesia, hoping that he never remembered what happened and they all can keep their jobs. And Charles would say as he was having these dreams that he just felt pain and he kept saying something's going on, everything's happening in my dream, I'm starting to feel every day, but he did not know that he was under this amnesia until the doctors confessed. One of the doctors confessed, and then they ran some tests and they found out that he gave him an amnesia drug, and all of those doctors will be terminated. And the family will get an undisclosed amount of money under a lawsuit to the hospital. So that's gonna do it, guys. If you did like or get anything out of this story, and if you do have anything you want to say about the story, please drop a comment. Best comment will get pinned to the top. And other than that, that's gonna do it. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. See y'all.